We've got 6 guys that are going to come up here and get you guys pumped up, tell you their stories, tell you their journey, give you some ideas on how you can apply that to your journey as well. So our first Note Talk speaker of this session, I've known for quite a while now. Obviously, we work closely together in our capital fund. We're also personal friends outside of the business world, spending time with each other and our families. And I want to bring to the stage Mr. Ryan Parsons.
All right, good morning to all of you. Thank you, Bob, for the invitation, Eddie, and the entire Note Expo staff to join you this morning for the Note Talks. When I saw this on the agenda, I got really excited about it because it was a different change of pace. And this morning, to share a few minutes with you, those of you that don't know me personally, I do know a lot of you, but there's a lot of great new faces out here as the Note Expo in its 7th year has evolved. And so this morning's talk, those of you that know me well would probably not be surprised that I would entitle a presentation, Your Money, Your Freedom, Your Life. And today is no different. We're just going to try to get it down to a little quick 12-minute presentation here. And so this idea of your money, your freedom, your life, and it's an opportunity for me to share my story. So I appreciate you letting me indulge you just a little bit as I'm excited about that and realizing where we're all at together in our journey of our life, our freedom, and our money. And it's really been born out of where I've come from, both how I was raised in my family and to where it's evolved to today to be able to help me live my best life through our Mile Marker Club and all the great things that we get to do alongside of my fellow investors. And so this idea of work-life balance, how many of you have ever had a job in corporate America? Miss Lisa, oh yes, I saw Lisa, yours was the first hand I saw go up there. So much like many of you, my journey started off in corporate America, as Dr. Phelps said, following the path, doing what we were told we were supposed to do, get a good education, go get a good job, work your 40 years, hopefully you retire with a pension plan. And during that time, following that, I was working in corporate America, confidently drinking the corporate America Kool-Aid and going to big meetings, and the executives were talking about how we should have work-life balance. Work-life balance. Lisa, did you get any of that corporate Kool-Aid poured down your throat too? I did as well. And this idea of work-life balance is probably something that you all ask yourselves about on a very regular basis as well. And what you're seeing on the screen here is this idea of balance. We've been taught, I was taught, that you're supposed to have a big sphere, you're supposed to have a big Rolodex, you're supposed to know a lot of people, you're supposed to do a lot of things. And that is part of the reason why sometimes, myself included, we feel like we're out of balance. And so what I've learned over the last several years, particularly when I made my exit out of corporate America and hit my financial freedom date back in August of 2012, so just over 6 years ago, one of the things that I realized, my friends, is that while having a big sphere is very important and having plenty of resources, realizing that to have the true balance that I've started to experience in my life is to be very clear and very tight of who is in that sphere with you. And so however you define balance in your life, as you can see with mine, work and life are one and the same today. I get to live in Western Colorado, work from my home, travel all over in the motorhome. As you know, work and life are really one and the same in today's world. And however you define health, whether it's your spiritual health, whether it's your physical health, as Cody was talking about during his note talk, being able to stay very laser focused and being mindful of who's in that circle with you is really in part of what I've discovered is what's helped to keep a very solid balance in my life. Now, like being here, what I've also realized, every interaction that you have with people, every interaction that you have with a deal, any opportunity that you come across is either an opportunity taken or an opportunity missed. And we can all probably think back in our lives where were some of the biggest opportunities that we took and some of the biggest opportunities that we missed. And for me, one of those really defining opportunities in my life is when indeed I kicked corporate America to the curb. And what was happening in the industry that I came out of, which was a very stoic, very financially stable industry, but yet was very stoic and wasn't really advancing my creative mind, and as it turned out to be, was not advancing my wealth like what I thought it was. Those of you that are all in corporate America, and typically for most Americans, the 401k plan through our employers is the number one way wealth was concerned, or wealth is built, and investing in traditional investments. Mine was no different. But working in corporate America, I realized I was on the slow boil plan. I think, Mariska, that's something you and I have talked about in the past, and many of you have felt that way. I was feeling it and realized one of my biggest takeaways when I realized leaving corporate America was the absolute best thing, because I had this 401k penalty going on. I was being a good soldier, putting in all the money, getting the company match, and after 19 years, guess how much money I had in the plan? Not a penny more than what I had put in over 19 years of my own contributions. That, my friends, is when I really came to the realization that traditional investing, Wall Street, nobody cared more about my money than I did. And I was abdicating my wealth, my financial future, my financial freedom to the supposed, big Wall Street managers, all the so-called experts. Yet I had nothing more than what I had contributed on my own. And that was one of my biggest realizations and understanding of the penalty. And many of you have that going on too. So I encourage you to find that in yourself. What are the wealth penalties that are detracting from your wealth? I thought we'd make a little cameo from last year. Those of you that remember the squirrel from last year, and in the context that I was putting it in, it was the same as it is today, of realizing we all love to go do deals. I love deals. I love our private equity deals. I love our private debt deals. Of course, discounted notes and real estate deals, our funds. I love doing that. But like all of you, we see deals and I go, oh, I got to go do that deal. It's the squirrel over here, the squirrel over there. I got to go do that deal. And that's great to be encouraged by the deals, but it's also a reminder that just because a deal is good on its surface doesn't mean it's a good deal inside of your wealth or your portfolio. And as I've tightened up like my work-life balance and gotten more laser focused on what I have the tolerance for and what really makes my wealth hum, I encourage all of you to do that too, not to stop seeking the opportunities, but don't get the shiny object syndrome. Most of you know I live in beautiful western Colorado, in a little town called Glenwood Springs. It just happens to be west of Aspen. How many of you have been out to western slope of Colorado to visit? And all my Colorado friends out there, Mark and Brenda, wherever you're at, and some of my new Colorado friends that I've met. It's a little slice of heaven. And for those of you that like to snow ski, or for us knuckle draggers that are snowboarders, we are coming into our most fantastic time of the year. And as you look at this photo and see the gondola, if you've ever ridden in Snowmass or at Ajax Mountain right in downtown Aspen, is to be able to see that we're always looking forward to the next season. And what this picture shows so well, we're known in western Colorado for our skiing, but we stay for the summers. And the same was true, I've realized, in my financial life and on my trek to financial freedom, is that we hit failures, we hit things that stumble us up from time to time. And I've learned to realize that failures are not the opposite of success. They are part of success. And part of overcoming failures is to always be looking forward. And what I love about this is that even though we're now coming out of the fall season, looking forward to winter, as soon as the doldrums of winter hit, we're always then looking forward to summer. There's always the next season that's coming along, and being able to see that and know what that means for you is really important. Again, to all my Colorado friends, or any one of you that live in rural America or spend any time, these are what they call switchbacks. When you're driving up a big mountainside and you're just constantly seeming like going back and forth, and it's like you feel like you're never getting anywhere. But one of the other things that I've learned over time, thanks to my great mentors, Eddie, Speed being, of course, a big one of those, is realizing you feel like you're on the track and you're on the path, but until you start to step back and look at your life or look at your wealth from a higher view, all of a sudden you see these switchbacks are no longer just slow moving across the mountain. You can actually see yourself ascending the mountain. And for my city friends in here, this might look like a little bit like Dallas. Your worlds might look like this. Every time I come down here to the DFW Metroplex and I'm trying to either drive the motor home or drive the car, I'm always getting off on the wrong exit. But it's a great way to think about your money and think about your freedom and think about your life. Are you down in the doldrums and all of a sudden taking the wrong turn? Or do you allow yourself to step back and look at it from a much higher view? Because when you're looking at your money with a more strategic plan and a much higher view, all of a sudden this doesn't look quite as confusing here. So as I mentioned a moment ago, one of the things that happens with all of us, we run into failures, we run into struggles, we run into volatile times. And I'm not necessarily talking about the stock market, although we see that all over the place here right now. Many of you have brought that up to me, the volatility. What does this mean? What does this mean? And I look at any of these individual things about our wealth, we tend to look at them in silos. And the stock market volatility or interest rates rising are just individual elements. What we have to be able to do is realize volatility is happening all over our lives. And the better that we have a plan for it, and to take that volatility out is something I believe both Cody and Dr. Phelps mentioned during their TED Talks a moment ago. This is one of my favorite sayings: what you do, when you do it, where you do it, with whom you do it. It's the 4 W's and a big part of the freedom multiplier. And so realizing this happens to be the Hanging Lake in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, to go from volatility to how I go and find part of my peace when I feel like I'm in a volatile area. And so when I was making my exit out of corporate America, like so many of you have also successfully done, there was an element of being able to understand, am I running from something or am I running to something? And whether it's about our money, whether it's about our freedom, whether it's about our lives, I encourage all of you, as I have to do with myself on a very daily basis, is to remind myself, where am I running to? In other words, the next season. What am I next looking forward to? And so to be able to face our fears or face the volatility that we're coming from, because that is what it ultimately leads us to be able to look through a clearer portal to see our financial freedom. When we know what we're running towards and have it much more clearly defined what we're running towards, allows us to experience, as it has with me, that financial freedom. Because just running towards it though, having a goal and having a dream without the right plan and without the right strategy is only a wish. And as many of you have heard me say, hope and wishful thinking is not a goal and is not an objective and is not going to get you there. In other words, goals and hope is not a strategy. And being able to have the strategy to bring you and have a plan is what allows you to be able to achieve those goals. And that's been one of the biggest things for me, is having a much more clear plan to be able to know and bring my dreams to life. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, money just simply brings our dreams into their physical presence. And so whatever those dreams are, as we continue to think about those and who we surround ourselves with, however big your sphere is or however tight your sphere is, for me today, my friends, I've realized that, I'm only one person. And being able to multiply myself is what I was getting constricted with in corporate America. And I've realized there's a lot more smarter people out there like all of you who are engaged in so many different things, from philanthropic ambitions to your families and doing the good work that you all do. And I finally realized, it's taken me over 40 years now, almost my whole life, to realize my role is to be able to help as many people as I can realize their own financial dreams, to allow that to go and multiply. In other words, that's been my multiplier, and that's what brought me to what is so passionate for me about with our Mile Marker Club today, because I get to align myself with investors, with doers, with high-level thinkers that are going out and doing your defined goals in life's work. And I just get to be a part of that with you, helping to strategize, helping to co-invest. And I'm no longer, as Dr. Phelps mentioned, following the life that somebody else had for me, which for me was corporate America. And I got the shackles off here now and being able to think very clearly and see it very clearly. And I appreciate all of you, all of our investors, all of our Mile Marker Club members that are here that have allowed me to live my best life and live my journey. And I wish to continue to do it with as many of you as I can. So best wishes to all of you. I hope you have a wonderful close to the rest of the year. Happy holidays to all of you and safe travels as you go on from Node Expo from here. Thank you so much, everyone.